Okay, everyone. Hi, welcome to Rich Mama Secrets, Module 8. We're going to be talking about getting out of debt. So, sometimes it feels like we're under a huge mountain of debt and it's impossible to get out, but really it is possible to get out. And getting out of debt, especially what we call consumer debt or credit card debt, uh, is really important because it's psychologically freeing, and also it will help you and free up your resources to save for long-term and short-term goals. Um, so let's talk a little bit about the different levels of debt. You have credit cards, which are called consumer debt, and they're generally, those little pieces of plastic, and there's a revolving debt, which means that you usually get a limit, say $5,000 to start, and you can charge up to $5,000, and as soon as you pay off a little bit of that $1,000, you have $1,000 more to charge up. So it never stops. You never fully pay this off unless you stop using your credit cards. This is one of the reasons why people get into so much trouble with them. The reason is that the interest rates on these cards, or the annual percentage rate, or APR, is usually pretty high, anywhere from 10% to 20% to 25%. So these credit cards can really be a bad deal for consumers, and they're one of the reasons why people stay in debt. Then you have things like bank loans, which could be a student loan, it could be a car loan, it could be a different kind of loan. Sometimes these loans are secured by an asset, like if it's a car. So if you don't pay the debt, the bank's going to take back your car. A lot of times with bank loans, these do have a term, which is a fixed time that you're supposed to repay them. And once you repay them, they're done, and you don't build up another balance. So sometimes taking out these loans can be okay if you're doing it for education, or if you're doing it for a car. Sometimes it's the only way to get a car. Just want to be careful that you're not overspending. And of course, one of the other most popular forms of debt is a mortgage, and that's what you take to buy your house. And again, it's secured by the house, and you usually have a fixed term and a fixed rate. And once you pay it off, you're done. So sometimes what we want to focus on is really getting rid of the credit card debt and permanently getting rid of that, not relying on credit cards to buy things and get back into debt. And then as you pay down your other kinds of debt, the fixed term ones and the fixed rate ones, well, then eventually you will be debt free. So next we'll talk about steps to pay off debt. So you want to pay off more than you use. So if you make the minimum payment of $20 on a credit card and then spend $50, guess what? You're not going to get out of debt anytime soon. It's just going to build. You're going to have interest, and you're going to have fees, and you're just never going to make any headway, especially in credit card debt. So one of the ways to work on eliminating debt, especially with credit cards, is you might have a couple different credit cards from different banks, or maybe from stores. So if you have a card with a lower balance, pay it off first. Some people say look at the one with the highest interest rate, because you're kind of losing the most money on that because you're paying the most for the privilege of using that. But sometimes that can be hard. It can actually be psychologically easier to pick the one with, say, only the 500 balance, focus all your resources, pay the minimums and everything else, and quickly pay off the $500, cross that card off your list, get rid of it, don't use it, close the account. Then you take the money you were spending for that card's payment to pay off cards with higher balances. So it's kind of snowballs into paying off debt. So this can be very effective to really get rid of all the credit card debt. It's called the snowball effect. So you pay off card 1, you celebrate, then you double the payments, so you pay the total for card 1 and card 2, so whatever you spend in card 2, when balance equals 0, celebrate. Then you triple your payments, so you take what you're paying for card 1 and card 2, plus the minimums you're paying in card 3, all together, and boom, it's a lot more effective, and card 3 gets paid off that much faster. And then after eliminating the small balances, take a look at your high interest cards at priority and get those out, because you are losing a lot of money or spending a lot of money on interest fees. Now, step 5 is you have to avoid skipping payments. You have to be current. Skipping payments is only going to lead to so many extra fees and harassment by debt collectors. Debt consolidation, this might be something you need to consider, because what they do is they usually get it's a third party that comes in, looks at all your balances, your credit cards, and works out a deal with the creditors on your behalf. You can get a better interest rate, and you can eliminate several of the monthly bills. So you're only paying one bill. But beware that you're really getting a decent deal with this, that they're not sticking you with a payment that's so small that you're never going to be free of them. You're going to be paying this forever and ever. And that the interest rate is fair. So you want to do a little research and check out online and find a reputable person. But if you possibly can, try to doing the snowball effect instead and doing it yourself. Sometimes also you can do this on your own by taking out a loan. Usually it's some sort of loan of equity, line of equity against your house, and you pay off your credit cards. Because those are at 18%, you might be paying 6% at your against your house. Some people also think that they can transfer their credit card balances to a card with a lower introductory rate. Well, those interest rates, sometimes those interest rates go up soon, and there's fees and there's payments and maybe pre-penalties. So read the fine print. Sometimes I think it pays to stick with just paying off your debt and learning how to live debt free rather than playing this game of consolidating and switching things. The other thing you can do to lower your debt is any extra cash you can come into. Maybe you did a garage sale and you made a couple bucks, or you got a bonus, a spot bonus, or a raise. Don't spend it. Take those windfalls and lower your debt. It obviously should go to credit card payments first, but you can even use this approach for things like paying off your car faster, a student loan, or a mortgage. So that's one way to use these windfalls, these unexpected amounts of money to help you get out of debt. Okay, we're going to talk about the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service debt, next. If you do owe money to the IRS, you got to make those payments your highest priority, because they can get serious. They can take your house, empty your bank account, have you arrested, confiscate your business, and much, much more. Student loans. Student loans, you should focus on paying those off after their higher interest rates are paid. You should also see if you can consolidate them. This is one area where consolidation may work. This will help you avoid multiple payments. The other thing is, you don't want to forget about your student loans. Sometimes we can defer student loans, especially if we don't have a job. But guess what? The interest still accrues on them. You're not really gaining much by using this method. So always try to pay your student loans. Once you pay off your credit card payments, you can put the funds towards your student loans. I also say sometimes put it towards your car. So next you have car loans and short-term loans. So cars usually carry lower interest rates than your credit cards. You don't want to always have to have a car loan, so you want to make a plan to put some funds aside so you can pay cash for your next car. And you don't always need a new car. In fact, new cars lose a huge percent, 25% or something of their value as soon as they're driven off the lot. So if you want to consider, buying your car, which is the way to go, look at a gently used, maybe a lease return car. It'll have low miles, it'll be well taken care of, and a lot of times it's still under the manufacturer's warranty. So you might want to look at going and buying a used car. And obviously, if you have the funds to pay for it, or you can make a higher down payment or reduce the terms, that's great, because really, it's really great not having a car payment. Mortgage loans. If you want to pay off your mortgage faster, you can do something, arrange for a bi-weekly payment plan with your lender. This actually can be very good for your cash flow. We get paid bi-weekly, a lot of us, by our employers, yet we have to pay our mortgage, which is usually our biggest bill, once a month. And I know that can have a little effect on your cash flow. But you can arrange for bi-weekly payments plans with your lender. Hopefully they won't charge a fee for this. And when you do this, you pay approximately half of your mortgage payment every 12 weeks. They estimate that you can pay off your mortgage 8 to 15 years sooner, saving you thousands and thousands of dollars in interest. because you're actually making a few extra payments every year. So it really adds up. So that's another great way to try to reduce your debt. The other thing for a mortgage, the other thing is you might want to consider going for a 15-year mortgage if you can afford it. The rates are generally a lot lower. You know you'll be paid off in 15 years, and a lot of people that can be great because it can free up money right when kids are ready to go to college, or something like that. You'll also have a paid off house in 15 years with all of that real, true equity in it. So next, you're going to ask yourself some questions. You want to take a look at what credit card and loan balances cost you the most interest charges. You also want to see if you can pay off some of these loans early without penalty. Most loans you can. There are some loans that do have pre-payment penalties, so be sure you look into that. You want to see how much you're spending in interest every month. Add that up, and you'll kind of be shocked. I think that's one great way to really have the credit card problem issue in your face is when you realize that you're paying $500 just in interest, and you're only able to say put $1,000 towards your payment. You realize it's not like you're reducing your payment by $500 every month. It's you're really only reducing your balance by $500 because you're spending all these money on interest. Look at how you can cut your expenses and put all that extra money towards debt repayment. That's kind of been a theme we've been talking about. Money that you cut from other areas of your life should first go towards paying down credit card debt, and then towards savings and also other debt repayment. And then you might want to see if you can move some of your balances to a lower interest loan, just keeping in mind that you want to be careful of debt collection agencies and working with them and making sure they're reputable. But the other thing is that this sometimes is what I call a symptom of the problem. You're not really attacking the problem in the first place. The problem in the first place is that you spend too much on your credit card. So make sure that you have a handle on your spending and why you're spending, and before you just try to move some of your balances to get a lower interest rate. So you want to make a written plan for paying off your debts and then follow your plan. You want to see if there's any way you can consolidate your debt. You want to pay off high interest balances or the lowest balances first to get advantage of the snowball effect. And then when a balance is paid off, you want to reroute that money towards another balance and get rid of that credit card. Freeze it. You can talk about closing the account. You just want to make sure that you don't have access to it and you're not tempted to start to build up a balance there again, because then all your good efforts will be sabotaged. Okay, so till next time, let's get going figuring out how we're going to get out of debt.